Kent here with MrTruck.com. We are in the middle of Project Overkill. And I'm in Longmont, Colorado, on Main Street in Longmont, Colorado, with Advanced Transmissions and Auto Repair with Ruben.
Hi. This
is the expert. You've been with 15 years of rebuilding transmissions?
Yes.
And 3 with ATS, so you've kind of done everything.
Yeah, we've done a lot of different things. A lot of pickup truck transmissions, a lot of imports, a lot of everything. So if it's got a transmission, we've pretty much done it.
Well, that's good. And I really like automatic transmissions. I keep buying these project trucks from Craigslist, and you know, most of them have transmissions out of them.
Yeah, especially Dodges.
Yeah, especially Dodges. And so what I wanted to do is, you know, have you build it like a diesel, which is what you do, because we don't want to do this again. We want to get the transmission done right the first time and have it last and not go back on Craigslist. So you're going to make this just like a diesel, same components, so we'll go over those components.
We're actually going to step it up to a little bit more than the diesel. We're going to do the overkill.
Oh, so better than a diesel Cummins transmission, this one will be on my 318 VA gas, so this ought to be interesting, but that's...
Yeah, if you ever decide to do nitrous supercharged or a bigger engine, yeah, you'll be ready.
I'll be ready. That'd be cool, because that's what we do. We buy these old trucks and just keep doing more things to it, so that sounds like a fun. But I like the idea of it because, you know, the OEM transmissions, I know they're getting better now, but, you know, if you just go back to factory, you got the same problems.
Yes, exactly. And then we like to, I mean, we like our engineers, but we actually think one step above what the engineer wanted to. We build each unit to customers' driving habits or what they're doing. Meaning giving it more capacity if he's pulling, or a racer if he's sled pulling or drag racing. So we want the customer to have that capability of doing what they like. Well, and without, you know, going the halfways down the track or up a hill or pulling the trailer. So
well, that's cool, because that way you can have it custom built, which you're going to use it for. Like, we're going to put a little higher stall on the torque converter.
Yes.
So I have a little more speed, so I can beat big green at TFL truck. But you know, we got all that stuff coming. But that is cool. So we're going to go through each set of components, go into the transmission, and what would be the normal stock clutch and the stock planetaries, and then like the diesel, and then this overkill.
Yeah, we'll show you exactly what came stock on this truck and what we're upgrading to, and what's in the middle line, what diesel will have.
Awesome. And then we'll put back in here. Got it all painted up, so my Superman colors are there.
Yes.
And your factory colors are your overkill colors. This is cool. So we'll go through each component.
Right here, we're going to start with the overdrive section, since it's one of the key components, especially when you're towing on the highway in overdrive. This factory clutch setup on a regular Dodge application has 8 factory clutches in your overdrive direct. So we could get away on this guy by putting 9, using thinner steels and better clutch quality. So that's 1 friction more than factory. So that gives you about a 20 to 40% more increase on that clutch pack. So the next clutch pack that's very known to go bad on these Dodges are your overdrive brake, which the factory lineup has 4 sets of clutches in there. And the diesel actually comes factory with 5. So we can always upgrade this unit to 5 clutches to a diesel version, but actually we're going to step it up 1 more to the overkill, which we machine this plate, cut it down, and we add another 2 more clutches than factory. So it has a 6 and 6 clutch pack, and this actually is anywhere from 60 to 100% more holding capacity than stock. And then our forward clutch pack, this guy, we just leave it alone. We leave the factory 4 clutches in there. So once these guys are engaged, I mean, I've seen 1,000+ horsepower trucks and they still don't slip these clutches. So we do a lot of valve body magic, and that helps keep the 4 clutches always engaged. On the factory ones, like what came in your truck, you have three clutches set up. The diesels, they actually step it up to a 4 clutch setup, just like this. And on Project Overkill, we are going to go with 5 and 5.
Wow.
So that's going to give you, I mean, the diesels on the gas will be 20 to 40% more increase if we did the diesel setup. But on yours, we're doing the Overkill, so this will be 60 to 100% more capability than stock.
Cool.
And this clutch pack actually engages on 3rd gear and your reverse. So you want to make sure this clutch pack is always the strongest, because you lose this clutch pack and you lose reverse. So one way of doing it is, luckily the engineers of Dodge made it easier for us. The direct drum for the factory one has a recessed snap ring groove. Well, on the diesel trucks, it's got a the step is a little higher, so it actually it took a little bit of our homework.
Cool. So it's made for more clutch pack, more clutches.
Exactly. So, the pump stays intact to factory. All the key components here that we're using is to upgrade the unit and make it a better, more efficient unit than came with stock. So you're going to have anywhere from 60 to 100% more capacity than stock. Cool. By adding more clutches and doing our valve auto magic here, you should be ready for anything that comes your way.
And the planetaries are different?
Yes, good thing you brought that up. We are actually, we got 2 sets of planetaries here. The factory uses a 4-pinion aluminum bodied Planetary. So these on high stress tend to spline out where the intermediate shaft goes in here. So say if you get in rugged terrain and you're having to back it up back and forth, well, what happens is this shaft goes back and forth, and with being the aluminum, it could actually strip out the spline in there, and next thing you know, you don't have any movement. So we decided to go with a 5-pinion steel Planet. Plus 5 pinions actually help separate the load, so it puts a more even load around the Planetary and less causes of fatigue and failure. And plus, the other thing is made out of steel, so if it'll be a lot stronger. I mean, so it's about 60 to 100% stronger than factory.
Well, cool. We're going to be in the big time bulletproof Project Overkill. All those cool parts. And you're going to make this thing last forever.
Oh yeah, a very long time.
That's good.
We're going to wear out till that 318 wears out, and time to replace it. That transmission still be going and going.
Well, that's used to be on the farm and everywhere I was at. The automatics, you always ended up working on at some point, whether it's 100,000 miles or wherever it is. Of course, now they last longer.
Yes,
but what you're going to do is going to last longer than even the factory for 2017.
Yes. So yeah, it's all the upgrades that Dodge has needed to from day one. They're actually getting done today here with us.
Cool. Well, that's the way to rebuild a truck, and that's what we're doing. We're not just messing around. We want something that's going to be around so we can do a lot of toes up the gauntlet and run around drag race and off-road and all the things I want to do with these trucks. And this is like putting a jet engine together. There's a lot of parts.
Yes, there is. There's a lot of parts in this unit. And you gotta know exactly where to go if not, it gets you into big trouble.
You said that the Ram, the Dodges, these are some of the easier transmissions to work on?
Yes, they are. They are one of the easiest transmissions to work on. But that doesn't necessarily means that we can make them. Anybody can put them together and make them last. So that takes a little bit of I guess of knowing what components to put in and make them last, make them durable, reliable.
Well, yeah, and you've had a lot of practice, and that's the thing with doing any of this stuff. If I was to do it once a year, I would remember where any of it goes. And you do it every day, so, you know, big difference.
You know, we get some of the new units, and, you know, if you do them once a week, it could be a challenge, but luckily, I'm in the industry that I like, and it makes it a lot easier to remember this kind of stuff, so.
Yeah.
And usually what I do, I put my subs together, put them just like that, put all brand new lip seals in here, all the rubber components that wear out, just put them all to one side, make sure I have all the sprags and rollers in there, so it makes it easier to remember when it gets assembled. But I mean, there's a lot of pieces here, and it's amazing how when everything goes together, just the thing keeps getting shrinking, less and less.
Yeah, we'll have room to put our beards here after a while.
Yes, definitely. So the next assembly would be your overdrive section. So these things are finicky at times, especially with the splinage and over the years things wearing together. Just remember not to catch your fingers in the middle of that, because it definitely hurts. Time to say hi to our little friend here.
Oh yeah, super spring. A hell of a coil that can really get you hurt. I guess I'm going to have to move out of the way of the press, aren't I?
Yes, we'll definitely need some assistance with the press here, because I still haven't got that Superman type of strength yet.
Yeah, well, that's anything that's spring loaded can be a hurtful device.
Oh yes.
I grew up on a farm. I have a lot of friends that only have 3 fingers. So I guess I left in time because I still have all my appendages.
So that's part 1 of the spring.
It amazes me how big the overdrive unit is.
Yes, it is. And this unit actually came out originally back in the early 60s. So the biggest change they did was Dodge really kept things simple to a point, and they didn't really want to get rid of the torque flight. So the engineers really got together, and that's when they redesigned the original 727 3-speed into the overdrive. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's actually not a bad design. It's got its flaws, but once you take care of all of that, they're actually a pretty good unit.
Yeah.
This guy, and of course my handy dandy limit tool. This tool that I've made actually works by aligning these 2 components I put in here. So we've got set splines in the Planetary and on the Overdrive sprag. So when the input shaft comes into the transmission, it actually splines into the Overdrive, Sprag, and the Planetary.
Oh, cool.
So when the 'cause we got two sets of clutches here, the Overdrive brakes and the Overdrive directs. They're when the piston applies on this spring, it actually releases one set of clutches and engages the other ones inside of the Overdrive section here. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's the biggest redesign and the challenge Dodge had back in the day of getting this unit to work. So this is one of the key components in this unit. Making this Planetary and this Overdrive Sprag work in conjunction. Now we're going to upgrade, put the upgraded clutch back in here. So we're going to do the 9 clutches instead of the 8. And they usually go steel, clutch, steel. It's like they don't create any friction in here, because friction produces heat, and heat is the #1 killer in a transmission. So like you said before, Kent, that's always recommendable that we do upgrades, like put an external cooler in there, help keep the temperatures down. Another thing we do is, once we do all valve body magic, we'll make the shifts more efficient, so they'll come on quicker, apply quicker, and release quicker, meaning it'll apply the clutches efficiently, less slippage than factory, and it actually applies and releases the bands quicker too. So
Yeah,
all
that's
with
good.
comfort too. I mean, it's not. You should be able to still drive the truck and drive it nice, and still take a sip of your coffee and not spill it all over. But when you get on it, it should definitely shift pretty adequate. Let you know that you got something in there.
Well, that's good, because that's why all my vests are brown, because they have to be the same color as coffee, because coffee always goes flying on me
Yes.
when I'm bouncing down the road.
And that's the last thing you want on you: coffee or beer or wine.
Yeah, it's true. You don't want to mix all that stuff.
So this is part 2 of the Overdrive section. And now the biggest upgrade we're going to do here on the governor side,
This the missing governor?
the missing governor.
Yeah.
The missing governor in action.
That's why I got this truck cheap. It had a few problems,
So
all related to the transmission. That's one of my favorite Dodges, that 94 second generation 1500.
yeah, especially the regular cab short bin. That's such a nice looking pickup. The biggest difference in the governor is one valve is actually slight taller than the other one, and that actually what it does is, once it rides in the bore, it actually doesn't stick in the bore like the stock one would. So typically they have, let's see if you can catch this in camera, on the place where the valve rides on, or with the valve being longer, it actually has a way of not sticking in there.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest. This is actually the designer of this valve saved our lives by far, because getting that overdrive section to fix a governor issue is a lot of labor consuming. So I'm happy for the person who designed that for us.
Yeah, with that, all the springs in there, you don't want to be doing that under the truck. You got to take it off every time.
Yes, exactly. So we got them always make sure our surfaces are flat. So we'll grab our handy file here. everything flat. Engineers designed these things, like I said, back in the day, so they were meant to have leaks, so they weren't really 100% leak proof.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's guys that take it up to the next step and machine everything, make gaskets. But on this vehicle, we should be good. As long as everything's nice, clean, we shouldn't have any issues, especially with this updated valve in here on our governor circuit. So it should be pretty good. No more sticky valves. So basically it should fall down its own way.
Yeah. Is that plastic?
No, it's actually anodized.
Oh.
So it's aluminum with a special coating, so like that it doesn't expand or contract, so it stays with the same properties that within heat and cold ranges here.
Yeah.
I'm just applying a little bit of brake in here, cleaning all the pores out, making sure everything's clean and good and clean. Make a little noise here. So now we'll put our brand new filter in here. One of the biggest things that I love to do is torque everything down. A lot of people say, well, why are you wasting your time torquing everything down? Just grab your impact, run it home, and everything's good. Now that we got that in place, we'll put a little bit of lube here so we could actually make this keyway stick.
Oh yeah, you got your keyway.
And we should be able to slide our governor up to the shaft.
Well, the way you're doing it, you can probably rebuild the whole transmission about one day, can't you, if you have all the parts?
Oh yes, yes, definitely. With all parts in stock, we could definitely get them done, serviced in one day. Overdrive unit right there. Assemble, just when to put back in the case. So that's And once all the components here in this tray are gone, that means it is done.
And no parts left over. That's a
No,
good thing.
you can't have any parts left over. You see, like somebody once told me, he's like, yeah, just put all the pans and all the bolts in the pan. Once you start it up, they'll all go into place. Well, that doesn't work that way. Not a transmission.
It might have happened to the last guy who overhauled this one.
Yes, exactly.
It's that magic spring dust.
Yes. There's no transmission in the can mechanic here.
Yeah. They like boat grease or RV grease, or what is that white stuff?
It's technically, I asked the guy and who would make it. It's like technically it's kind of like a transmission Vaseline.
Okay.
That's what some guy told me. He's like, yeah, but no, it's assembly lube for transmissions. So it's not your typical grease. This actually becomes once you operate in temp, it dissolves and becomes part of the transmission fluid. So it's not going to hurt anything. There's people that I've seen that use grease, like wheel bearing grease.
Right.
Oh, you can't do that in the automatic transmission. You'll actually make the clutches slip on that.
Yeah, the purpose of that stuff is to stay thick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you do that to an automatic transmission, it'll definitely slip. So we'll put all our shims and thrust washers in place. And that's mainly one of the key components, just grabbing the rhythm and going to town with it, so like that you won't forget any of the key components or make sure all the lip seals are looped up like that. They go in nice in place without turning them up. Now it's pretty easy.
What's that drum? That's not one of the clutch packs, is it? Goes in there?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
This is actually for your forward clutches here. This guy's always on. Put it in drive and this actually this clutch pack, we're using the new generation clutches in here, which are called high energy clutches. They're supposed to handle the heat a lot better. And of course, anything we do to make them handle more heat, the better off we are with time. Especially being in Colorado, the weather always changes and it's always heat and cold. So.
Yeah. Well, true. You got a clutch disc on each side of a thin piece of metal. It's got to be pretty stout stuff.
Yes, it is, and it's. I always thought it was the greatest thing out there. Who would design a paper and a piece of steel would do so much?
Yeah. Yeah. It's similar to what's in a torque converter in the lockup. It has steel and the paper and.
Yes, I think the torque converter is a little bit more complex to a certain extent, especially because it's more in a tighter package there. So
yeah,
I gotta go find a spring.
And we got tons of pickup truck questions, right?
Right. Where do we go for the answers?
We go to the Truck Nuts book.
Because we're truck nuts. And we wrote the book, Truck Nuts. We're nuts about truck, the ultimate guide to buying a truck, or to look at a truck, or judging a truck. You know, whether it's diesel versus gas, new versus used, what your teenagers should learn about trucks, all that. You do all kinds of cool tests.
Yeah, we do a lot of testing. We do the iGauntlet, world's toughest towing test, up the mountain and down the mountain. We do MPG testing on the highway, loaded with trailers.
Yeah.
We do off-road testing. A lot of that data is in this book as well, and it's a one-stop shop for truck information.
That's true. We test trucks, maximum capacity, up to the biggest grades you can do on the interstate.
Yep.
So we really put them to the test. And, you know, you can get all the facts you can't find anywhere else. We do MPG tests, which you can't find on any sticker anywhere. So, you know, all that stuff that you can't find is in the book.
And you can find the book at trucknutsbook.com. There are links to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all the other bookstores as well.
So read about your truck nuts.
Put the snap ring between the grooves here, so like that, in case you do have a high rev.
Yeah.
It prevents the snap ring from coming open, so that's why it's got these tabs here.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know, it might be that you might overlook it at one time, and you can leave the snap ring opening here. Well, it makes it a lot easier to spread open with centrifugal force.
Yeah.
So I'm really picky with put index in everything.
Well, being picky is good. You don't want to do everything twice either. You
No.
fix it right the first time.
No, especially especially with units that have issues with the same thing over and over. You don't want to make it or become more of a problem.
Well, I've seen some of your diesel owner transmission owners, and they're pretty big people. I don't think I would want to tick them off too many times.
Yes, exactly. And they do make different thicknesses on the pressure plates here. I mean, the steels.
Yeah.
So we're going to.
That's Donald Truck. Tell him I'll call him back.
Yes. So that helps us play with the clearances here. We don't want this clutch pack too loose, but at the same time we don't want it too tight.
Right.
Especially because this clutch pack comes in after the band. So I usually go by feel, and that feels pretty good. Especially with this clutch pack here, we've got a nice and wavy snap ring.
Yeah.
So they call this a cushion spring.
Oh, spring loaded anyway. Yeah.
Yes,
More than one direction.
Once it applies this clutch pack here, it actually cushions once it comes to the full stroke of the piston.
Right.
So that they do that for comfort.
I've seen cars and trucks and everything in your shop. You probably do a lot of the big diesel trucks that are for performance and racing and all that.
We do. We do a lot of so many different builds for racing, for overall power, fuel economy. I always think if you're going to use your vehicle for daily driven, try to get the most out of it, the most performance and most fuel economy. Because it's just nice having a good overall vehicle where it can give you best of both worlds.
Right.
Something that you can drive every day, pull your camper with, and then when it's on load, it gives you the best economy and the most comfort that you can. So
Yeah, you got to have a lot of towing customers too. The big trailers are really hard on transmission.
yes, they are. They are. I mean, and we see that and everywhere from such an old truck to 2016s now. So
Yeah.
we see them all over the board.
Oh yeah, and we're here in Colorado. We got 7% grades, you got elevation.
Yes.
If you want to stress a truck out, come to Colorado.
Yes, definitely. We're going to change our pump bushing here. So we might get a little loud. So one might put your earbuds in.
Boy, you're on that press all the time.
Oh yes, this is actually one of my best friends, I would consider it. I mean, if this press would speak, you might not say that I'm not the best friend out there, so.
Well, you're still pressing.
Oh
away.
yes. Yeah, really. Right, smooth. Even I mean, this little detail on staking the bush makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, the details mean a lot.
One thing I like to use is to prevent seal blowout or leaks, especially because you got two different. Even though there's both metal, the expansion rate with the heat and cold cycles could be a lot different on different components here. So
Yeah.
by using this seal retainer stuff in here, actually helps prevent anything from happening in the future.
Yeah, that's a nice way to do seals. I do a lot of seals on wheel bearings, and I'm out there with a hammer and a block and all kinds of stuff.
Well, some things working harder is nice, but like the saying says, if you're working too hard and not getting ahead, you must be doing something either wrong or working too hard. So
Yeah.
we like to work efficiently like that. We can get off of work and still have energy to go have fun.
That's true. You got to get things done, otherwise it just drags on forever.
Yes.
So is that what those called impellers? That's the pump gets, but what are they called?
These are actually pump gears.
Pump gears. Okay.
So between these guys are just a typical or traditional, I would say, pump style gear, where it's got two gears inside of the pump, and they actually compress the fluid once it starts going inside of the pump. So what happens is you got fluid in here. Hopefully I won't splash you. I just put a little bit of fluid lubricated with them. But so the torque converter locks into these two tabs here. Gets inside of this pump here, and as soon as the engine starts spinning, it actually moves. It sucks up the fluid through one side of the stator, compresses it, and pushes it out to the other side, and redirects it inside of the transmission.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It goes both directions. It has to lubricate both ways.
Yes. So the pump is I would say it's very important to have a good healthy pump in a transmission. Like that, you have the flow that you need to where need to go, especially since we're going to change the pressures in the valve body so it could have more holding capacity. We want to have a good, healthy pump here.
Yeah, you're increasing my line pressures.
Yes. We're not going to go too crazy because we still want it to have street manners and not wear out pumps quicker. A lot of the times, if you increase the pump pressure or the line pressure too much, it could actually wear the pump a lot quicker. So.
Yeah, I remember the old Allisons, they really kicked in hard each gear from the line pressure they had then.
Oh yeah.
Then they lowered them, on GM with their Duramax. But yeah, so this will shift firmer than it did before. Well,
yes.
Not that I ever knew how it shifted before.
But yeah, it's going to shift nice and efficient, nice and crisp when you need you need it to be, and really smooth when you're just cruising away.
Yeah. Well, I might like this so much I'll just park the Chevy and the Ford. Spend all my time in this Dodge Ram. I like to say Dodge. I miss the old name Dodge.
Yes, but now that I'm going to say any illegal names, but now that it's a Ram, it's actually it even makes it harder to find parts. Because you go in there and you tell them you got a Dodge Ram and they can't find it. So you gotta go and look for it as a Ram.
Yeah. It'll be under FCA and all that stuff.
Yes.
I was at a restaurant last night, Village Inn, after my granddaughter's recital, and I had a sandwich and it was named after you.
Yes.
I was surprised. I had no idea that the Reuben sandwich was, something that you had been involved with.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of people don't catch my name at the first time I say it because I may have at times a little bit of an accent, so they're like, "What are you talking about?" It's just Reuben, just like the sandwich. So it's a lot easier to remember.
No, it's just good to have a name you can remember.
Yes.
Pretty organized. All your tools are on a wall in a certain space.
Yeah, it makes time valuable, mainly because there's so many components inside the transmission that, and they change through unit that it's, take it for granted. We're kind of more of a car doctor, but. Like doctors, I don't know how they would do it.
Well, it's nice to know within reach and everything. I have one toolbox that actually everything fits in it right, and my kids still take them out and don't put them back. And then but I know because there's a missing space.
Yes.
And my other tools, some of them get thrown in there. Man, I always have to go to the last place the kids worked and see what tools they left there. I would lock all the toolboxes up, but that'd be an awful lot of keys, and I'd start losing keys. So here you go. I'm lucky that I got Harbor Freight's 2 miles away. I don't use all their tools, but quite a few of the things that get lost get replaced with Harbor Freight. Until they break in half.
Yes. Well.
Just
But you know, on that new Ford 10-speed, it's out in the half ton, the Raptor and the F-150, they were telling me it's a super viscosity, so I guess that means they're putting water in it, because it's, you know, you can only get so thin, and you know, it's not like a 1030, a 1.5 or whatever it is. You know, the pour rate, the cold pour rate and all that. But my gosh, you always worry about lubrication qualities, but I'm sure they're worried about friction and how it slows things down and all that, so they want the fuel efficiency and all that, which comes from real thin oils. That's why synthetics are taking over.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been preaching about synthetics for 15 years. Everybody thought it was crazy, but now you see synthetic oil everywhere. But that's like water. And I don't know if what they have in that new 10-speed is a synthetic oil, but it's super viscosity.
Well, from what I heard out there, it was that transmission fluid was supposed to have the same viscosity as water, so basically grade 0. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking. It had to be. You know, we're losing all of our 0.20s and 5W30. I'm amazed how light the oil is in the engines too.
yes.
You know, in the old days all we had was 10W40.
Yeah, and then you went to a parts store and you wanted 1030 and everybody looked at you funny.
Yeah, yeah. I ran a bulldozer for many years. We ran 10 weight in the winter. We ran 30 weight in the summer. Straight weights. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that are actually they're bringing zinc type oils back in, especially for the older cars.
Oh yeah.
So that's a lot of the older cars are actually designed to run on zinc and the engine oil. Well, that's the whole reason the cans flatten out and engine components wear out quicker because they don't have the right amount of zinc in there.
Wow.
So there's.
Was the zinc fill in the low spots?
At one point it probably did.
Well, when I ran the cats, we always took the oil samples and sent it in to see how much magnesium and I suppose zinc and everything else was in the oil. And that's how the military does it. That's how they figure out when to change oil and stuff, or when to overhaul them, or whatever they're doing.
So we're doing our upgraded clutch back in here and our overdrive brake.
Is this one with 9 discs, or which one?
This is actually the one with 6.
Okay.
The factory one came out with 4.
Oh, good deal.
So. Power snap bringing back in place. Hold everything in place. There's our overdrive section. Now to the case. Got our band servo all assembled.
What's that called again?
This applies your second your band.
Oh,
second
yes.
gear.
Okay.
Typically, I don't say this, but this is the only component that you can actually get away by tapping it with a hammer.
Yeah.
Our reverse band servo. That actually makes the band come on. We
Now,
put it in reverse.
those activated by electronics, or they hydraulic?
It's all hydraulic. They're activated by the manual valve in the valve body, and meaning by manual is once you move the drive selector, it'll actually put it in the gear that you want it to. So it'll
Okay.
go into reverse, drive, or neutral.
So that's what's hooked to that linkage on the outside.
Yes. Area. We have these two little indexes that fit in here inside this governance report, so it's always wise. Plus, the thing is, they never tell you exactly where they're at. So after doing so many units, you kind of find out where the sweet spot is at. Basically, what that does is prevents this piston from spinning in the case and
Yeah.
wearing out the bores. And then we have a shim here. Goes in place. Our bearing rides in here, but actually the place where it rides on the best, or where it goes, is between the order section. Light on there.
Now the gaskets get greased, or they're just better off they're dry?
They're better off dry.
Okay.
What I've seen over the years, each gasket gets better and better throughout the years, and they're better to be installed dry. There was a big old thing when I was growing up, and I seen everybody wrench. They used to always put silicone in gaskets, and I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Well, it's easier to buy a tube of that than get all the right gaskets. You never seem to get them.
Yes.
All that stayed together for you when you got it on there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Bearing might slip out. So I was wrong on the farm using all that silicone for gaskets?
Maybe.
It was nice and rubbery and spongy. Looked like a good deal.
Maybe.
We used to use down differential covers, everything, because that's all we had. I couldn't go to town all the time for a gasket. But
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Yeah, that, I don't know, when did they stop putting, they used to have separate bell housings on these manuals. Now it's all one piece.
Some of their transmissions were a one piece on the Toyota 4Runners.
Oh, yeah?
So you have to build that transmission and the transfer case both at the same time. And they were pretty expensive to do because you have to do both units at the same time. And a lot of labor.
Yeah.
So we'll assemble the.
Getting that band right in there, huh?
Yes. And since we are putting an E-band in here, well, it's recommended that you do band adjustments every so often.
Well, that's, I guess you can do that from the valve body, take the valve body off and do it?
Yeah, you could do it without removing the valve body.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that's cool. I used to always hear about that, adjusting the bands on the old transmissions.
Yeah, and this is one of them still. All the way till, I would say, '07. On the diesels with the 5.9s. They still have the traditional RE style.
Well, that was on those bands where you're going to replace that one little plate, too, isn't it? Was on that, is that the one on the outside?
Yeah, that's the one we're going to use for our second gear. We're going to actually place it with a beefier bend strip.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens with the knee bands. Even in the music industry, the knee bands have a hard time going in.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
But before we build our bell body and everything else, we'll do the rerun on the how to adjust the bands. I usually like to put everything in there so I can check the drag and
Yeah.
so and so. Actually, we could do it on this side. Let me grab my wrench. Back it off. So what we do here is we'll run it all the way in, get it nice and tight. They're supposed to actually go 72 inch-pounds.
Is that a locking nut or?
You have a bolt with a locking nut there, so the locking nut's on the outside. Let's get to 72 inch-pounds figure. So that's 72 inch-pounds there. We'll drive the nut to be flat here. We'll grab our socket and we'll back it off 2 turns. So there's 1, 2, and then we'll grab a wrench here and we'll tighten out the jam nut or locking nut. And then now we'll check it with travel. So basically
Oh, cool.
what happens here is on your valve body, it redirects all your fluid in here. Well, when it applies to, when you put it in reverse, it actually makes this fluid go into this passage. So yeah, reverse servo, applies a band, and locks on onto your reverse drum. And makes it stationary because there's a low roller clutch in here, which this reverse drum only spins one way,
Right.
and then locks on the other. You can't turn it. So if you lock this solid and apply the direct clutch pack, it actually makes everything turn backwards.
Wow.
And that's what gives you reverse.
Oh, that's cool.
And I usually pre-measure all the shims here, and this one seems a little loose to my taste. They all have a certain amount of thickness. The stock sizes usually come up at 175 thousandths. So you can play with your in-play there. And we'll go to my box of goodies here. Voila.
They don't have any sandwiches in that box, do they? No Reuben sandwich.
I don't think a Reuben sandwich would go good in that on that box there.
Yeah.
So they make 3 different sizes. I usually keep one of each size in stock. They make a 212 thousandths and then 195 thousandths. So I'll bring up the end play. I usually start off with the thickest one and work myself down. And you want to keep in mind that once you start playing around with the clutch packs there, when you start adding clutches onto the unit, you want to keep your clinches tighter because you don't want the clutches coming out of the where they typically rest. Now that we have more clutch packs in there, we want to make this unit live a long time, so at the same time, if we get our end plate tighter, there's less heat, and of course less heat is best.
Yeah, right. And it's all covered in oil, so
Yes.
nothing you really hurt there.
So this is time to get this drum in here. Just watch the fingers, and voila.
Cool.
It goes in like that. So, as you can see, this spins when I move the essential over, and if I back it up, actually if I lock it in here, it actually makes everything go backwards.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, it's time to put our drum in there. High cheat, I used a set of pliers to drive it in there. After so many times with using my hands, it seems like your hands get tired more often, so.
Yeah.
Once you hear the nice thud, you basically made it home. Now we're going to check our end plate here.
You're measuring a depth, or what are you doing?
Yes, all the cases have a certain depth. When you change the shim that I just changed, you change the end plate on this unit. So you want to make sure you put the right thrust washer in here, because they're selective, so you can choose your size. So here, let me see if I can get away with using my I cannot. So we're going to have to go the old-fashioned way.
You need some help? You need to call somebody?
Especially now that we have added clutch capacity. So on my box over here, I got so many different shims.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that. There's a lot of measurement goes into this when you're putting them back.
Yes.
And that's keeping you where you wanted to be on the bell housing with the input shaft.
Yes, you don't want it too tight or too loose there, so. So you get slight drag on our 34,000s. Plus, you gotta remember we have a gasket goes between there, and that gasket measures, I think it's right about 25 thousandths. Yeah, once you crush it down, it'll probably go down to 15,000. So we'll be just right around 40 or so, give or take. I've seen a lot of these units when they come in, they have over 100 thousandths. I would say even closer to 200 thousandths clearance. So anything that you can do to tighten everything up is really good for this unit. We'll put our sealing rings in place before we forget. And now to our band, which reminds me, we are going to dig in the box of band strut. So pretty much whichever you use besides stock, I mean it's a big upgrade. There's this company that sells a thicker one, and they have these tabs here on the side, and it actually helps the rigidness of the band strut. What happens is, and I don't know why Dodge even did this. I think they probably lubricate or have the fluid flow better, so they drill these two holes here. Well, when you start changing line pressures and making the bands apply quicker and faster to make it more efficient shift, these tend to bend. So another manufacturer makes a different design. It's thicker.
Yeah.
That's a different manufacturer. And then this is my all-time favorite. This guy is. I mean, if you dent this guy, you're in serious trouble.
Is that overkill?
Yes, this is overkill. So we'll go out with old, in with overkill.
Yeah, this is an overkill project. Making it last.
So it's reminds me. Also got a wedge. So many different companies make different wedges. These are actually made of cast, so a lot of these break at one corner. Next thing you know, you find these things lying in the pan in no second year or so.
Yeah.
Those two things are going to make it to Project Overkill. And this is band adjusted. So what we'll do here is we'll put the band in. Then we'll do I usually just set it there loosely, as long as the things don't fall out of place, we should be good. Throw a gasket in place. We'll put a couple alignment dowels that I have made for these units.
So you've got the wedge and all that stuff in there already?
Yes.
Just because you got the bolt that goes from the servo to tighten the band in?
Correct.
Yeah. You're fast. I don't even see some of the stuff you do. You're just fast.
Well, I try to be as efficient as I can with each unit. And once you get a rhythm going, it's just, there's, it goes so much by, so quicker, smoother, less parts that you can forget.
Yeah. Well, Longmont, I remember in Main Street, Longmont, Saturday night, it was like American Graffiti. They still do that here?
Unfortunately, I wish they would still do it, but they don't. We only have 2 cruise nights a year. The Colorado, there's a car club that gets out a permit each year. They do a car show, and then after the car show, they do the cruise night. Well, the unfortunate thing is, you know, people still think they're back in the days where you could race light to light. Well, the city doesn't like that too much, so.
Oh, you got too many old folks in town.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing was a lot of these older folks were going at it with the younger kids at the light, so.
Well, American Graffiti, that was on when I was in high school, so you got it a long time ago, and that was fun.
Yes.
I mean, there was Fort Morgan was like that. I used to cruise on Saturday nights, and
I mean, you'll see it all here.
yeah.
I've seen anything from a Lamborghini to a Metropolitan, so.
Yeah.
There's.
Well, I do that once in a while. Get the Ferrari and the Lamborghini out in Sonic and go have my burger.
Yes. I think that's why Sonic started doing some special price drinks at night, because they want to bring that back.
Well, it's pretty cool. Sonic's only a mile from my house. You see all the old cars out there when you go by. I think it's a Friday and Saturday and just Saturday, but yeah. No, I can't get my cowboy hat in a Ferrari or Lamborghini. I had to get rid of them.
Well, Ferraris can't pull a trailer, so.
Well, no, I've had people try to get me to put hitches on some of those kind of cars, and I thought, why in the world? Well, we got the bands in, the clutch packs, the pump. There's not much more in the valve body, and that's
Well,
getting close.
we still got to do one more check before we get too crazy.
Oh, you got to measure something else.
Yes. Time to whip out the old traditional dial indicator. I was a little off.
Was that band clearance, or what are you measuring?
I'm measuring the end plane here. I was trying to get more close towards the 34,000 mark. We sit right about 54. So, since we want this guy, I mean, we're right in range. Because 34 to 84 thousandths, that's 50 thousandths of clearances you can play around with. So we sit actually right at 54. So right in the middle. So I would say we should be okay on this unit because we got 54 thousandths of clearance.
Yeah.
So our specs is 54 to 34. So we're right in the middle. So we're good. Not too tight, not too loose.
Well, using that big hammer always helps.
Yeah.
You got her all nice and tight.
I think it's time for the valve body.
Okay. That's always fun. This is the part that I would never even attempt. Where they have 20,000 balls and springs in them. It's like a BB gun going off in there.
Yeah, 20,001. So.
Way too many journeys for me.
Yes. Follow me over here. And we'll go ahead and get this guy torn down here.
Oh my!
You're
Get out of your way.
We always try to get a clean teardown bench.
Is that somebody in the body shop with the air wrench, or is that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it is. We once in a while see and hear the projects they're doing,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's music to the ears, and sometimes it's. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So this is your port ball. Basically, when you move your shifter mechanism, it goes in back and forth, and this is actually what goes in back of the transmission case. And actually, we got one that's kind of burred up, so we'll find a really good one. But this basically locks in the transmission into park.
Right.
So this is the manual valve. Basically, when you move the shifter selector back and forth, this is what directs your fluid into the right gear.
Yeah.
Throttle valve. Basically, every time you mash the throttle in, that's actually what moves. And then we'll take off our solenoids here. So on the side. We'll take our boost tube for our lockup off. Put it in the basket. Get this guy running. So this is one of the parts, one of the halves, or the third pieces of the valve. This is the middle section.
Wow, with all that pressure between those plates, you got a hell of a gasket there, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Dodge never put a gasket on these guys. They should have. But like I said, these units were meant to have slight leakage.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, you thought that's how they were made, is to run pressure through every journey, but wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, these engineers, they think of everything, so.
I've talked to a few engineers. It's like talking Latin or something. I've got some good friends that are engineers, but a few of them actually speak English, and a lot of them it's like Latin. I've talked to a few patent engineers and the guys who actually pay it, and the attorneys, and it's a whole nother language.
Definitely.
What kills me about engineers, so many of them think that if it's not their idea, it's a bad idea. So it always takes a little longer to get things done right.
Yes.
Because all of us dumb people, we don't know anything. You know, I'm an old farmer from the, there's a lot of farmer engineers just look at it and figure out how to do it and it gets done.
Yeah.
You know, without all the measuring tools and stuff, and it's interesting. I know a lot of horse trader companies that have the farmer engineers. And now that one, the Titan traders, that's what the old boss always said there. When in doubt, make it stout. It wasn't go talk to some focus groups.
And there she goes.
Man, how did they make all those before they had laser cutters and stuff?
That's definitely a tricky. Business here that you guys have come up with. So we're going to tear the whole valve body down, especially on this guy because they had a lot of debris there.
It had a lot of what?
A lot of debris, a lot of clutches.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get it as clean as we can, so we're taking everything apart.
Yeah, I always like that idea of an external cooler or external filter on these, because I'm sure the other filter doesn't get changed as often as it needs to be.
Yes.
And this new stuff, especially Toyota, they never service the transmissions. How does that work? I remember when.
Well, I think it's one of the reasons a lot of manufacturers don't put grease zerks on the ball joints.
Yeah.
Because of the they don't want the guys at the lube places or customers putting the cheap style grease in there. So I think they start off with a really good fluid, and that actually makes the unit live a long life.
Yeah, but there's got to be some debris in there that goes somewhere, and it's either diluted in the oil or hopefully in the filter. But like even I remember when Expedition did that with Ford, they took away the dipsticks.
Yes.
And then they didn't have any instructions for servicing, so you had to take it to a Ford place, I guess every 5 million miles or whatever it is, and have it serviced. But you couldn't do anything. And then the service techs, they figured out that there is a little place down by the exhaust pipe where you can put a little dipstick in it and burn your fingers. And that was in for a while. But I remember on the Toyota for several years now, like the Tundra and all that, my goodness, there was no serviceable transmission. You couldn't do anything. Well, how long does they really think something like that would last 500,000 miles without ever having the oil changed or a filter changed? I mean, how is that possible?
Yeah, I think they overthink it to a point where they just, most of the transmissions are made by Asian Warner, which they actually make a really stout transmission. So I think with their technology that they're using in the correct or the good friction modifiers that they do their own oil in, that's probably one of the main reasons they have a long life.
Well, doesn't all those clutch packs you just put in there, I mean, I know it's paper, but you got some kind of a friction on a clutch. Doesn't that, some kind of debris wears off of that from the friction, or does that oil keep it to where it never really flakes off?
Yeah, it doesn't really flake off until you have a slippage in there. But it does release debris in there, so I mean, my recommendation is to do a transmission service every 3 years.
Yeah.
50,000 miles. I mean, that's one of my recommendations that I tell people about servicing their transmission every 3 years, 50,000 miles, depending on driving habits.
Yeah. Well, I liked it when the Allison came out. It had that spin-on filter.
Yes.
But that was so cool. And then Ford did it for a little while there, and I think they went away from it. They used to have an external transmission filter.
Yes, they did. On the 5R110s, they had it in the frame rail where
Yeah.
change it. And a lot of the shops I used to work at, they used to not change that filter after a transmission rebuild. And guess what? We built the unit and it comes back out because a few hundred miles it was burned up again. These guys couldn't tell what was going on. Well, they didn't figure out that it had an external filter and it was all plugged up.
Oh yeah? Yeah. That's kind of like when Ford put 2 fuel filters on their diesels. I don't think they told anybody, and a lot of people are having problems figuring out that there was one down the frame, not just up on the engine.
Yes.
And then I get yelled at them because they didn't have a way to bleed water off the fuel filter. Well, in Colorado, you know, we have a lot of condensation in the winter.
Yes.
In the tanks. And so then they finally put a little 6mm screw on it so you could at least drain the water out of the main primary on the frame rail. Does it help any to put like a bigger pan on it for cooling?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. But on this application, I'll probably go with an auxiliary cooler, mainly because you're not carrying. I mean, you don't plan to pull a big load with it. So
No.
I think it'll be more efficient to put an external cooler than a bigger pan.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend both. So
Cool.
on valve body rebuild on these guys, we have 2 valves in here. One's going to be an oversized valve and one's going to be a stock valve. If we can notice here on the inner part of the valve, it's kind of a lighted shaded gray, so which means this valve has been stroking in the bore back and forth so many times that it actually has worn out the valve and the bore. So it's a common problem with Dodges. So we want to restore that, and by the way they're doing that is reaming out the TV bore and put in an oversized valve, so that's going to give us back our correct strategy on your valve.
How do you think it did that? Was that from lack of lubrication, or what made it wear out like that?
Well,
I know it's common on Dodges, but
I think there's 2 things that come in factor.
which machine is that?
That's a lift. Yeah. This valve in there sits in the bore, and you don't think about it, but basically this valve, between going back and forth constant and inside of the bore, it's always going in and out. Plus, with the pressure in there, somehow or another this valve likes to spin inside of the bore. So even though if it's in the resting position, it's actually turning inside of there. And I think that's most of the cause of that valve wearing, than the struggling plunging inside of the bore. So there's a couple of things that how they could be addressed, and obviously this valve has been modified too, so we're going to restore it back to its original condition. There's companies out there that make the throttle springs actually attached to the stem on the valve, which prevent it from spinning in the bore and wearing out. But meaning that we're going to go with a steel valve. The rotating mass, it might sound like there's not much, but the steel ones don't spin as much in the bore as the aluminum ones do. So that's going to actually help that bore out not to wear out as quickly as the stock ones do. The newer ones, the newer Dodges with the brown castings, they were notorious for wearing out, mainly because of the quality of the aluminum. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go to...
And you're going to drill.
Yes. We are going to grab our jig here and we are...
This is the fun part, working on the valve body.
We made this little jig here so if we could always cut with precision. So
Yeah.
we got it filled up with cutting oil, so that helps our bore be true and lubricated when we're cutting that. So we already got everything aligned. We're going to slide in our jig there, and now we are going to start making a knee bore for this guy. And typically it's pretty easy. You don't want to go anything over 200 RPM. So like that you get a nice clean cut. And we are pretty much done.
So good. So I guess you got your own depth gauge figured out.
Yes. Actually, we gotta go a little bit more. Let's change batteries here.
So don't try this at home, folks.
No.
It's harder than it looks.
Yes, it is.
Anything to do with valve bodies is harder than it looks.
Part on our valve body.
This is the jigsaw puzzle.
Next part on this valve body, we're actually going to flat file the valve body. Make sure we don't have any high spots here. Everything looks square. We have all our valve body components already lined up here, ready to assemble. And this is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, we're the brains of the outfit.
We have to make sure everything's clean, clean, clean. So we'll start with the main valve body. We'll start assembling this guy. We are putting in the reverse boost. And I think this is the trickiest valve out of the whole valve body. We need to get everything square.
To me, the valve body would be the hardest thing, but I don't know. It's a lot of pieces.
Yes, it is. This is actually one of the easiest.
So you're saying that like an Allison would be tougher?
Not necessarily. I mean, they all have their little key features here, but since this is one of my favorites, I would say this is probably one of the easiest. Remember, all your favorite things are easier, so.
Yeah.
But they all have their similarities, whether you have valves where they have to open and close passages, allow the fluid to go in to get distributed through the transmission, basically make it engage to the next gear, and so on. So they all have their function.
Right. Would a valve body on a 10-speed be twice as big, or
On what was that again?
like on a Ford 10-speed automatic? Would the valve body on that be twice as big as this one?
They actually have more electronics. That's the key on that guy.
It makes it better than the hydraulics, huh?
Yes, yes. A lot of these valves are getting replaced by solenoids.
Yeah.
So on this unit, you only have two solenoids. Basically, your lockup and your fourth gear that the computer controls. So, and then the first 3 years come all mechanically. So you got a constant battle between the governor and your throttle valve, which is the one we just poured over there.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure those two are in good working condition, because if one doesn't produce the correct amount of pressure, then that's going to give you incorrect readings. Next thing you know, you have unwanted upshifts and downshifts, and that's going to make just life crazier.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of these are basically end caps for the valves. So
Oh, I see. It's the end. Okay. Seems like there's several of them.
yes, there is in this model. There's depending on each model, some are bolted down. Some have the valve bodies bolted together, so they won't have any caps, so they would have retainers holding them in. But in this instance, it has all these plates here that cover up all the valves in here.
Yeah, they're fairly thick plates.
Yes, they are. Well, you could change. Pressures vary anywhere from 0 to 300 psi, depending on each application. But the main line on these guys, they start off about 75 for stock, and we're going to raise this guy to maybe 90 to 100 psi idle, and then depending on the throttle demands, that's going to determine how much more. So, but we don't want to get too crazy, because on this one is an RH model, which still has a hydraulic governor. The newer models, 96 and newer, they're a little bit more forgiving on the pressures, because the computer controls the governor pressure, and I could actually change the modulation on the solenoid. This one's all mechanical. Kind of like the old 12 valve Cummins. It's all mechanical.
Yeah, that means this is all set for the nuclear holocaust or the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, yeah.
It requires less juice to run.
Yeah. So that nuclear wave, whatever that's called, wave pulse, whatever, won't bother me any.
No. The first hole we're going to drill here is basically our torque converter release oil. So this orifice here from factory comes at 68 thousandths, depending on each application, what the truck is used for, and in terms of the size of the hole that we build it for. So on this guy, since you have a crew cab short bed truck, and the torque converter demand or the load is not
This is a regular cab short bed.
yes.
Yeah.
So the load on it is not. The truck's too light, so you don't want to have too much of a harsh apply, because this is release oil coming out of here. So the bigger the hole you make, the faster it's going to apply the clutch on the torque converter.
Okay. That's a big hole there.
Yeah, it's actually, this is the smallest one I go with. So it's
Wow.
78 thousandths, which is 10 thousandths bigger than a stock one would be. And actually, even the earliers went down smaller. They were right around 50 thousandths. So that hole, I mean, clearly you can see it's slightly bigger. So this actually helps us release the oil on the flip converter side a lot quicker. There's actually a TSB out that says from Dodge that, which is the technical service bulletin, that if you do see one of these, drill it out to 78 thousandths. So I'm following the manufacturer's
Yeah.
specifications.
Yeah.
Next is our pressure regulator valve. Goes into the bore. We're going to make sure it's nice and good and free. Same thing with our lockup valve. Goes into the bore perfect. Then we're going to install our control valve, valve terrain, or manual valve. It's a little bit of updated design with the kit that we got. And here's where the magic comes in with the all the balls.
Little tiny balls.
You leave one out of place, it's going to do a big headache.
And they're not spring-loaded balls; they just float around. Wherever
Yeah, they just float around in here.
Yeah.
So when the passage here, they have the balls in there. They actually cover these holes here. So basically what happens is when the fluid gets directed through the valve body, comes to the separator plate, the balls actually cover one of the holes and restricts the flow going to the either to the clutch pack or to the torque converter or where the flow needs to go. So it's basically kind of more of a mechanical limiting device. So when it starts feeding the oil, it actually shoots out a big amount of oil. Then the check ball covers the hole and then restricts it because it's already got enough volume going to wherever it needs to.
Okay, so just fills it to the top or whatever.
Yes, basically it's a good, I guess a good mechanical device that of way restricting the flow to the rest of the components. So we already drilled some holes here. I'm just going to clean off the shavings. This is for reverse ply. That basically makes the reverse engage a lot quicker. Because when you start doing that uphill race, in case you need to go into reverse quicker, by the time Roman tries to put it in reverse, you'll be already going forward. So you'll be long gone then.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
We need an autocross course for this.
Yes. Basically, you'll be ready for whatever terrain you're ready to go in.
Yeah, we'll chase some coyotes.
Yes, exactly. By the time Mean Green puts in reverse, you're already back and driving. You're gone. So on this part, we already flat filed this piece. We're actually going to put our two other check balls in place. We're going to put a new filter here. We'll take two of the existing bolts. There's two narrow slots here in this guy, which is our alignment bolts. We'll put our plate. This proto plate is done. Put it up there. There's another separator plate. Put between these guys. This one doesn't need any modifications. So that's done. Now we'll start doing our third half of our bell body. We'll start putting the valves in place. And this is the trickiest one. So yes, that's in place. Put our springs in place. So there's basically a bigger hole there. We're going to add this orifice to make our fourth gear ply shift feel better. So we want to go just about half an inch before after the hole. So load this guy, get all the strings out of the way. I think this is one of the most challenging parts here.
Oh, because of the spring, or?
Yeah, because there's always Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
There's always something's happens when you always have your both hands tied up. Either you get the specific phone call or
Yeah.
somebody calls out your name and
Well, I keep looking at your parts bin over there. It keeps getting fuller.
yes it does.
Yeah, I thought. I think they're breeding or something over there.
Yes. Well, pretty soon will be non-existent, or it'll be very minimal parts. A lot of these rebuild kits that you get, they have slightly extra parts. Let's just say here on this one, we didn't have to use the servo Teflon rings on yours because they have O-rings, and then this is for the reverse servo on a diesel.
Yeah.
Two-wheel drive seal, so that doesn't get used. The factory direct clutch lip seal, which is was under machine, and actually the aftermarket companies have one that has a lot thicker, so we use that one. So we get rid of those. We use the metal type of sealing rings for the governor.
Yeah.
And these are Speedo O-rings, which are, in our case, on our application is 4-wheel drive. We don't use these. And these are for the later style solenoid connector O-rings, so we don't use those.
I knew there were going to be parts left over. I could tell.
These are for the early style solenoid. So these are, since we got these solenoid assembly, we don't need those. And that's for late style O-ring for this vehicle speed sensor, so we don't need that guy. This guy, we'll find a home person for it. So let's continue with the valve here. There's actually a torque specification for these guys, but I've been doing these things so long that after my hand starts getting tired, that's the ultimate torque.
Yeah, I figured you could do that by feel.
No, the torque on these is so low, it's about 3-4 foot-pounds
Yeah,
of torque.
yeah. And deal with aluminum, you can't get crazy. You're going to be spinning all day re-drilling holes.
Yes. But the washers, they actually start turning discolored when you start tying up the bolts, so that means they're right on target.
Well, that's good.
I'm not the greatest body shape guy, but I think that's pretty flat.
There's just 100 screws on that side.
Yes. We're down to 98, 97, 96. Oh yes. This bracket holds the pressure regulator spring and the lockup return spring for the valve. So tone this thing. These springs are a lot firmer than the stock ones, so the line pressure is actually going to go way higher. So what we do is the instructions on the manual is basically turn all the way down, but I always turn up. I give it a couple turns for anything that's going to get used more than a stock application. So
does this mean I lay rubber every time I shift gears?
no, this is actually this will control your line pressure, and that's what's going to give you a better holding capacity. And maybe if you get lucky enough, they could actually make it lay down some rubber when it's just first, second gear. So.
Oh, there you go. Then I gotta get ready for the sled pulling. That'll be the next.
Yeah,
one.
yeah, definitely. You'll be ready for the sled pull. We'll just have to add a little bit of weight to that truck because.
Yeah, I'll put air right on it so I can lift it up as I go forward.
This is
Get some traction.
Next step is getting this. Actually, place you could get away with a hammer and a valve body.
Oh, and a valve body. Okay.
Yes.
So I've seen that hammer before today. So
Yes.
valve body. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only time you get away with a hammer and a valve body. So before I get judged, I'll make that myself clear on that. We'll align the manual valve with the shifter mechanism. Make sure it all goes in. We'll put a new seal there because they're known to leak from here, so never reuse the seal there. And no, silicone's not going to take care of it.
Yeah.
And now for the last step, actually this guy, make sure it's all the specs. It is. That's perfect. Time for solenoids. Piece of the puzzle, the filter.
Yeah. And that oil doesn't pass through that to any part of the chamber, just whatever's in the pan that catches it as it washes around the pan.
Yes, exactly. The filters, certain manufacturers use the screen type filter. A lot of the manufacturers actually use this Dacron style filter. So I recommend they service your vehicle every 3 years, 50,000 miles. Depending on driving habits. I mean, some people don't drive 50,000 miles in 3 years.
Yeah.
They might drive less. But the maximum 50,000 miles, get your transmission service.
And the guys who tow trailers probably do it twice as often.
Yeah,
Severe duty kind of thing.
Well, and the thing is, everybody tells you to change your oil every 50,000 miles, but they never tell you to service the transmission.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, the traditional thing is, oh, I have a transmission issue now, let's just service it. Well, that's not going to fix anything. Mainly because the transmission fluid turns into, it's got some properties there that help lubricate, cool down the transmission, hydraulically apply. So when those, and also the viscosity also changes slightly, not much, but it turns into, I say, a liquid sandpaper. So if you have all that dirt and debris in there, instead of lubricating stuff, you're actually wearing out stuff quicker than it needs to be taken care of. So that's why I always recommend servicing the transmission. I mean, we always take it for granted. Yeah, they say service your engine every 3,000 miles, but I mean, sometimes people don't follow the rule. Next thing you know, it's 10,000 miles later, and you still haven't even changed your engine oil. But
Yeah, well, I heard a customer talking in here today that he wanted his transmission service. It was slipping. And I'm thinking, okay, it's already slipping now.
yeah, I mean, all those products that you could go to the auto parts store and say, oh yeah, we'll stop the transmission from slipping. All they do is just promote the basically they swell the seals here and they make them expand because the seals they're made out of rubber.
Yeah.
And this one's they call it lip seal because it's got kind of like a lip there. So when the pressure comes in, seals up the seal in the piston and strokes the piston. Well, these things get hard with time, and a lot of those mechanic in a can transmission type of additives do fix it for the short time, but after a long time this seal actually deteriorates, and next thing there's nothing that could hold the pressure up, and this slippage becomes dramatic, and next thing you know, leaves you stranded on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you'd be calling us needing a transmission. So to prevent all that from happening, it's just basically servicing it.
Yeah, that's how the stuff is for engine, you know. Say if your engine is using oil, use this additive. Well, just thicker oil, you know. I can slow it down.
Yeah.
It's kind of like STP. I think STP is like honey wax and something else, but that's basically what it does. It thickens your oil. So.
I haven't heard that brand in a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got valve body bolts here.
Oh, we got extra parts? Oh.
No,
you gotta-
not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Yeah, I guess you got to put that on the transmission with something.
Yes. So this is. Just let me grab. I usually cheat with a screwdriver on the newer models because they got a hole for the speedometer. Then I could crank up on the output shaft, but
Oh, yeah.
this guy being an RH, it's got no speedometer reference, so I'll have to spin the input shaft. And if I could just line up this thing correctly here. Into the part ball.
Do you mean to hold something or?
Let me give this thing a little shot. Yeah. There we go. It all got there.
There you go. Yeah, electrical plug went through the other hole.
Yes. So we got a couple bolts there. Everything's good.
See, now I'm a hand model. We get paid big bucks for hand models. We know the transmission weighs twice as much as when you first set it there, so
Yes.
we're getting into the hard work.
That's where we get too crazy is we make sure the mechanism perfect.
There's two holes. What's the second hole on that side do?
This guy has all the shifter mechanism.
Oh, that's what's okay. I didn't see it in there. Okay. Okay, I was trying to figure out what the second hole was.
I want to grab our torque wrench here. Torque this valve body down.
putting grease on that gasket either. Huh?
No, this is all. These cork gaskets saved so many lives. And I mean lives because there's a lot of people that want to strangle your local technician because they get a transmission leak.
Yeah.
So that's why I say lives.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I heard there through the grapevine that the cork tree is going to extinction, so
Oh,
I don't know if it's true or not. That's why I'm saying it might be a rumor.
really? Yeah. So is that a magnet or what's that?
Yes, this is a magnet.
Okay.
This actually traps all the metal shavings before it gets to the rest of the transmission. But if you got metal shavings going through the transmission, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of little tiny holes in that puppy.
But the manufacturer put one in, we're putting back another one back in.
Yeah. So that's your colors for the industrial side, is this blue and gray, huh?
Yes.
For this heavy duty Overkill project. I suppose I'll come back in sometime after you have grandchildren and check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, almost thought I had it for NASCAR.
Yeah, really.
We'll torque this pan down too, also. Make sure we won't have any leaks in the future. We're just, we take our time here to torque every bolt down, like that wouldn't have any leaks or any errors that might happen. At least we have a good peace of mind if something does fail, it's going to be a part or a component that it wasn't on our part.
Yeah.
Because we took our time and torque everything.
That's what I gotta find for this too, a good skid plate kit so I can find off of a used one and make sure I get everything covered down there.
Yes, especially if you're going to try to jump over things and run over things, and the last thing you want is to have a big old hole in the transmission pan or transfer case or
Yeah, that would
that
be
kind of
fun.
thing. Shifter shaft seal there. We have our coolant line fitting.
Yeah. Have to track that puppy down.
We'll torque this guy down. There's been so many guys that I've seen that they track the cases here
Yeah.
from overtightening this guy.
Yeah, you have metal against aluminum, usually metal wins.
Well, I think this part of the case is so thin that and next thing you know, it ends up breaking the aluminum.
Yeah. Where'd that one rod go to that was in the valve body? A long rod?
That rod actually goes from the rooster comb all the way through here and ends up right in this area.
Okay.
So that rod actually moves back and forth to apply the park pawl so you have parking.
Okay.
So
I didn't see where you hooked that up, so I lost track of it.
It's actually on the overdrive section here. So when you're going, you put it in park, it locks the shaft.
Yeah, cool.
And prevents your vehicle from going anywhere.
That's good, because I don't think I have any emergency brakes on this truck. The whole thing's missing, cables, everything.
That's the last thing you want to do. Your truck missing in action.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'll get a big block of wood.
There was silicone here. $2 knot.
Was that the one you had to heat up?
No, that was actually where that coolant fitting
Oh, really?
actually broke off.
Yeah, I thought there was something weird about that one.
And so the way we adjust this guy is we go 2.5 turns off. So it's basically 1, 2.5.
And what part does that control?
This applies the band for second gear.
Okay, so that's what you said, you could adjust it from outside the
Yes.
transmission. Okay.
And the reverse band, like you can drop the pan. I recommend checking the band adjustment on the reverse band every time you get serviced.
Yeah, so I was thinking that's when you would do it first. That'd be
Yes.
part of it, adjusting the bands.
Yeah, they used to have they used to call it a tune-up service back in the day,
Yeah.
where they would offer changing the filter in the transmission and changing the fluid and then rechecking the bands and making sure everything's tight, and if it's loose they would readjust the bands and make sure everything's good. So
Yeah.
then you get more service out of it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, everything takes maintenance.
Yes, it does. So that's basically what's involved in rebuilding a Dodge transmission here.
Oh, wait a minute, I see some more parts. Or are they all gone?
I was just seeing if you were paying attention there. So we'll put the shifter mechanism there. One controls the throttle, so every time you mash the gas, it actually pushes or pulls this rod here and makes the TV valve go max line pressure.
Oh.
And this actually controls your gear, so basically you pop it in reverse, neutral, drive, second, and then low gear. So that's all done externally. And then these 3 pieces right here, well, they're old pieces. We don't need them no more. We put new ones in there. And all that we're left is with O-rings. So one's for the dipstick. Tell you the truth, I don't remember those 2, and that's for speedometer, I think.
Well, that's cool.
And if it was a diesel, these would go in the cooler lines, and then these would go for the other sensors, and then these other 2 would go for the cooler lines on the gas. So
Okay, so I guess the dipstick's the only one we have to worry about.
yes. So as you can see, no more bolts left. Oh, springs left here.
Uh-oh, there's a spring left. Uh-oh.
This guy goes into here, and there's a bracket that bolts onto this ear here, and then this is actually a helper spring.
Okay.
Dodge had an issue, I guess, to a point for the comforting of the customer. They added that spring in there so it could help the throttle valve come back. So when he wanted to make it upshift earlier, that's the way they got rid of that problem.
Okay.
So thankfully we got good engineers there.
So we're putting that on there too, huh?
Yes.